the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service of others. Quoted by Gandhi. Now, this quote I remember is very significant in my pursuit of humanitarian work, my career, I guess, so far in the humanitarian field. I read this quote. I read this quote during a time of, suffering, personal suffering. It was a time where I was really lost in my life a couple of years ago. I was working in an industry that that wasn't for me, and I was living a life that was really, looking back on it now, the life I was living, it wasn't the life that I wanted to live for myself. It was a life that I was living for other people, to impress other people, or to kind of conform to what society had told me to do in my life. And I was going through a rough time, and I had been told, I'd been asked to step down from my job, to resign from my job. It was my first job out of university. It was, the graduate job that I had, big corporate graduate job. And after 10 months, I was asked to step down. Due to my lack of performance, due to my lack of motivation, I was, in mental and emotional turmoil, and, it was just, it didn't work out. And, it was about a week after leaving this job where, I'm lost. I'm sitting there, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to stay in the industry that I was in, or, whether to move to another industry. And I had no idea. I was just so lost. And this quote came along, and it kind of sparked up an old idea and an old goal that I had once. I remember when I was at university, there was a point at university where I wanted to go traveling before I moved into the corporate world, because the perception that I had was, once you get into the corporate world, that's it. Once you get your first full-time job, that's it. It's time to settle. It's time to buckle down, and there's not going to be much travel after that. Your days of fun and adventure are over. And right now I'm looking back, and I see how far from true that is. There's such a limiting sort of perception on reality that I had, limiting beliefs that I had at the time. But I remember when I was at university, I was looking to make this one last adventure, and I was making calls to all of these volunteer companies and finding out, quotes and prices and locations and what I could do in certain countries. And, each time that I'd call a company, I'd hang up in disappointment because the prices were so high, and I couldn't afford to do anything as a university student. But once I got that graduate job, and I'd been working there for just under a year, I'd saved enough money, and after resigning from that first job, in the poor mental and emotional state that I was in, I was looking for something. And I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do, and the idea of humanitarian work popped up in my head again. And I read this quote by Gandhi, from Gandhi, and it was, that was one of the driving factors in making a decision to go on my first trip to Thailand, to Southeast Asia, to do some volunteer work. And I can't believe I spent my first taste of volunteer work. This is just the kind of person that I am. Instead of saying let's just do a week or two and test the waters out and see if I like it in a rural village, first time in a rural village doing volunteer work, humanitarian work, I kind of just said no. It's either all or nothing. So I chose to stay a whole month in a rural village, my first time ever doing humanitarian work, and that was quite intense. But I guess that was the pivotal point. That was the catalyst. That was the defining moment that kind of led me on to pursuing a career in philanthropy, and a career in helping people, and a career in humanitarian work. And that career is still in motion now, and Yeah, it's amazing how, I'm not going to put it down to that one quote, but that was for me to remember that specifically, that quote specifically, and for that quote to be still stuck in my head and to just pop up out of nowhere. It means to me that it did have some sort of profound effect, and it did play a huge role in my decision to continue to pursue a career in this kind of field of work. And it's quite special how that's kind of, I feel as though it's the first time in my life that I feel as though I'm actually in a career that I'm committed to 100%. It's something that I'm so passionate about, and been working since I was 15 and I'm 27 now, and I can't say I've really ever loved a job. Matter of fact, I've pretty much despised every single job that I've worked. And it wasn't until, moving to Cambodia and moving into this field of work, this philanthropic field of work, I really started to have gain a passion for what I was doing. And like I said, it's only been the past year where I've really felt like, I'm made for this, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's quite a special feeling, and it feels more like a calling rather than a career or a job. So that's what I like to refer. This is philanthropy to as a calling rather than a career, a potential career or a job. This is something that I feel like I've been called to do, and it's going to be a lifelong mission, a lifelong journey, and I have no idea what's ahead of me. New ideas are coming to the surface every day, and that's all part of it. That's all part of the journey, and that's really special. So yeah, I thought I'd just give a background as to how this all begun, kind of thing, and we're only at the beginning phase. I haven't even really been in doing this kind of stuff for a year yet. So I'm really excited to get back to Cambodia soon and continue that journey. And hopefully I'm really confident in the fact that being out there and being in new environments all the time, they spark new ideas, and I feel as though being in this field where if you want to help people and that's your calling and that's your lifelong mission, then innovation is so important. Because if you lack that innovation, then how are you meant to bring something new and exciting to the market, to people's lives, and add that kind of value, that innovative, creative value to people's lives? I think that's what a huge something that's really important when it comes to philanthropic work and helping people, bringing those innovative ideas that add so much value to people's lives. So that's where I'm at the moment, and we're going to continue on. And please join me in my journey. I want to thank everyone for the support so far, and really looking forward to getting back into the village in Cambodia. And I hope you continue to follow. So thank you.